Have a good night, y'all.
All right now. Oh, I knew it. I knew it. Tangled cords. All right, I got it. I got it. I got it. We good.
California just launched the Certified Wellness Coach profession to help your workforce meet the increased demands for youth mental health services. Learn more at cawellnesscoach.org, supported by the California Department of Healthcare Access and Information.
What up, y'all? Everybody hit that like button.
The station leading the way with exclusive interviews, stimulating conversation, and intellectual discourse that empowers, enlightens, and informs. Follow the leader at KBLA 1580. We've got a lot to talk about. Keep following the leader. Follow 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 the leader.
Hey, so I'm calling your show, 'cause I need to know. Show me which way to go before I throw my man out the door.
Okay, hold on a second, Keisha. Just let me ask Ronald exactly what's going on, because it takes two to tango, and I need to hear his side of the story.
So she's driving me insane, got stress heavy on my brain. She keeps playing silly games, and I'm about to bring the pain. We seem to fuss and fight every day and every night. Please give some advice so we can see the light. See the light.
What up, y'all? Hit it. That algorithm is getting back to normal. So you know we got to hit the like button and we got to share the video. All right? So let's do that. What up, what up? Let's get a roll call. What cities? Let's go. Nzinga. Attila up in here, True Meezy. What up? P. Cola.
Everyone, it's Dr. Romani. Now, during a recent meeting I had with my team, they told me about something that really concerned me. They were telling me that there's something out there that's called a karmic relationship. Now, I had no idea what they were talking about. I thought it was maybe they were talking about some sort of dreamy, predestined love story, which also concerned me enough. But when I was like, karmic relationships, I was like, what is this? And when I then did a deeper dive and really read about it, I was like, oh no. Because it felt like one more way for people to potentially get stuck in narcissistic relationships. Well, I know until recently I had never heard of this. Please drop a comment if you have heard of this type of relationship and already have a sense, especially when it comes to the world of narcissistic relationships, how problematic this is. Now, most of the blogosphere and internet space that writes about this whole karmic relationship thing, it's all very listicle. They list all of the characteristics of karmic relationships, and I scoured more than a few of these to find out what the characteristics of a karmic relationship are. There was a lot of overlap, but I made note of all of them. Now hold on to your hats, folks, because you are going to love this list of what makes a karmic relationship. Ready? Instant connection, volatile, lots of red flags early on, frustrating, unpleasant, the relationship feels obsessive and time-consuming, lots of highs and lows, repetitive fights and playing out the same cycles repeatedly, they play upon your insecurities and fears, they bring out the least desirable aspects of yourself, they are exhausting, they require a lot of justification to keep them going. Just sit with that for a minute, okay? Now, all of you, and all this YouTube world could talk to me right now and say it out loud, and I could hear it. I know what you'd be saying. You'd say, damn, that sounds like trauma bonding. That's just a narcissistic relationship, right? Right. So trying to package this and spin this and call it a karmic relationship.
Can you break down extra again? People stay asking about that shit.
This kind of a relationship is meant to be a place given to you to work through traumas and issues from your past life, and that it's a place to learn that lasts as long as you need to get the lessons, I suppose. To which I say, oh, hell no. Because after you have been through the messy nightmare of any narcissistic relationship, sure, you went through it. I didn't want that for you. But I guess any of us can try and see what was learned. But to frame one of these relationships as karmic, like by design, because it was going to teach you something, no. Nobody should stay in a relationship that is harming them because they think it is some sort of karmic workshop on trauma healing. When I read these various blogs and articles about karmic relationships, I gotta tell you, my heart sank. Because my biggest concern is that people will read this stuff who are stuck in narcissistic relationships and may remain in these toxic relationships even longer because it's already hard enough to leave. And now they believe they're working through some karmic lessons. And you know, on this channel, I know.
Oh, yeah, we about to get busy yet again. I am called to clean up a mess yet again. Do you see how the clinical, right, brings clarity to the spiritual? Do you see how the spiritual brings expansion of thought to the clinical? This is why I say you need both, okay? From the clinical lens, Dr. Ramani sees narcissistic tendencies, right? From the spiritual lens, karmic deals with the Sanskrit term karma, action. Deals with what the great Krishnamurti spoke of when he says relationship functions as a mirror. And as I stated yesterday, psychology is going to catch up to spirituality at some point. They've been trying to do it for many years, especially in physics, right? There is a book, it's now 35 years old, came out 35 years ago, called The Tao of Physics. And what was interesting was, in the book, they matched all of the, what they considered esoteric, philosophical, religious beliefs to emerging, right, cutting edge scientific principles. Go back and check this book out. Free Joff. That is the author. Freejoff, I believe, is the last name. I'll look it up for you and give you the exact details. The Tao of Physics. And I think there's going to be a Tao of psychology at some point, because the spirit side needs the clinical, rigid, logical framework of the clinical side. It needs it because many of the spiritual explanations are, in fact, quite nebulous. And that leads us to our topic tonight, right? Which is based on this karma idea. You know, black folk, we spiritual to begin with. Sorry, whether you want to accept it or not, everybody else in the world, black folk are spiritual to begin with. So we have spiritual concepts around our relating. Tonight's topic, eye for an eye versus karma. Until you do right by me, uncovering the desire to be paid back. Now, what's interesting about this, I believe personally, right? If you try to pay somebody back, you're really taking on what the universe is going to give them anyway, right? For every action, there's an opposite yet equal, an equal yet opposite reaction. So I believe when you try to do something, no matter how subtle, right? No matter how slick, because you got a lot of people that think they're not doing anything when in fact they are, right? We gave the example yesterday, like you can have the proper tone and delivery and deliver something, some really nasty words or a really nasty sentiment, right? You can really tear somebody down with the calmest demeanor, but you can say something that is really heartbreaking and painful. So what I'm finding is, right, we live in a recompense kind of society. People want to show that they're doing better than they were when they were with you. And I'm saying, listen, none of that has anything to do with the purpose of relating. To me, the purpose of relating is rooted in self-discovery, right? Oh, I discovered I respond to situations like this in this manner. Oh, I discovered that I tend to shut down when I get anxious. Oh, I discovered my communication style. Oh, I discovered my attachment style. Oh, I discovered some repressed emotions and feelings. This is the purpose of relationship. Relationship is not designed for you to show off how good you're doing after you've left someone else, right? Relationship is not designed for that. Now, sometimes we get caught up in it. And for me, this is an example of unhealed people. See, listen very carefully to what I'm about to say. And I've said it on numerous shows. Sometimes God gives you exactly what you want so you can learn to want better for yourself. See, we will take the easiest road, right? When it comes to these relationships, we'll take the easiest road because we want what we want. We want to be happy. We want to be safe. We want to be nurtured. We want to be cared for. We want what we want. But sometimes getting what you want is an impediment towards getting what you need, right? Sometimes you got to learn how to be dissatisfied with what you want. What does that mean, Zoe? Sometimes you got to get it so you can recognize that it's not truly fulfilling. I know it's tough. So when we get into relationships, and this is the part that the Western lens doesn't understand. When we get into relationships, relationships are designed to reveal ourself, right? We talked about Carl Jung. We talked about Dr. David R. Hawkins. We talked about Krishnamurti. We talked about Pema Chandran. We talked about all these spiritual philosophers who talk about it. Eckhart Tolle, right? Iyanla Van Zandt. We go to all of these different sources to give you an example of how you see yourself in the reflection of others. And you say, well, what is the purpose of seeing myself in the reflection of others? Well, you're going to see some things about yourself that you don't like. You're going to see some things about yourself that you have repressed, that you have pushed to the side. Well, why do I need to see that? Because it needs to be reconciled, right? If happiness is an inside job, so is self-worth, self-approval, self-acknowledgement, right? All of these things are inside jobs, right? So if you're going to attract the person of a lifetime, if you're going to attract the person that you feel represents your highest good, you have to become your highest good. You cannot avoid self-work. So what happens is we buy into the image of a person. We buy into their words. We buy into their behaviors and their performance. And in doing so, this image is, whether you want to accept it or not, this image is concretized. It's an inflexible image, and it's unspoken. We don't say don't ever change, right? Don't ever change. Well, people are gonna change, and people are flawed, and people are triggered by their loved ones, by their family, by their co-workers. Life has a way of challenging you. And when you crack the image, that's when people feel as if you lied or you let them down. Or do you understand what I'm saying? Like, and now they have reason to say, oh, this isn't going to work, right? But wait a minute. What if you come into the situation with unhealed wounds? And that manifests itself as negative behaviors, negative words, because that's what you modeled, right? Oh Lord, eye for an eye. I got to get out of this relationship. And oftentimes we spend a lot of time trying to prove to this person I'm worthy, right? Listen, there is no eye for an eye. You learn from that situation and then you matriculate. There is no get back. We got to get away from getting back. Listen, that person you left is on their own mission. Has nothing to do with you. You don't have to prove anything to them. You don't have to show them anything. But oftentimes we get caught up in it. When I come forward, I'm going to rattle off these questions and break this down even further. You already know you're invited to the conversation. All you got to do is call me at 1-800-920-1580. Yeah. What up, y'all? Everybody hit that like button. We got somebody who hit the super chat. I'm just going to say this. Yesterday on the super chat, we had $12. I wasn't going to say anything yesterday. I just said, let me see if it stays there. It's pretty much what it was. You know, I would just like for you guys to support. If you can, please do so. If you can't, I understand. And I want you guys to get in here and talk to me early tonight. Let's get it. 12. 12. True Measy. I got you. Man, I done had so much stuff scheduled for me today. I did a mentor session today uh, with some youth. They were bussed in from the city of Compton, and we did a hip hop and fatherhood summit with some old school West Coast hip hop legends. Man, it was really dope. You know, these young students, they were all seniors. Some of them had their fathers. Some of them didn't. You know, oh man, it was dope, man. It was fire. Um, I did that. Like so many, like, and I be forgetting. Like I was somewhere else, like, and got a phone call, like, "Hey, are you on your way?" I said, "On my way to what?" Well, you know this summit starts in. I was like, "What?" When I tell you I got on the freeway, I was at 97. Whoop, 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 whoop. But I got there with 5 minutes to spare, walked in. Let's go. Let's do it. Let's do it. But it was a good look. It was a very good look. Touched a lot of kids, and they were excited. You know, hey man, yo, it was really good. They were talking about Kendrick and Drake, and it was just good to hear their perspective. 18-year-olds. They were like, it was fly. And my homeboy who set it up is like, man, I want to do it again. I want to bring more students. We want to add more schools. One youngster was talking about how he lost his father, and I started talking to him about it. First, he was like, kind of like closed off. Then he opened up. Man, it was fire. It was dope. It was real dope.
Karmics. You know how they say people come in your life always for a reason, but only for a season. Karmics often represent those people either in our soul pod or near our soul pod who has been with us through many lifetimes. Since we are so much like our twin flame, this twin flame, we're so much alike, we can't always learn from each other because we're too much alike. So the soul has to split itself, that seed, which is a soul, has to split itself and have these experiences with other people that are not our twin flame. So karmics can be people that we marry, spouses, child's father, child's mother, exes, etc. So this soul needs to fully experience its incarnation and has to split up. Like when you have two best friends in a class together and they're taking that class and the teacher's like, no, y'all need to split up and go to the other group because you're not going to learn because all y'all going to do is just play. And y'all didn't come down here to just play, so you need these other people to help you evolve. And so you meet a karmic who you've known many lifetimes. So anyway, you get with this karmic, right? And y'all get married, you have children, you love them. You may not be 1,000% in love with them like you are your twin flame, but you get them on a soul level. Even if you don't like them, but you're still...
Now, the clinician, the psychiatrist, the Western thinking would say, that's a bunch of malarkey. Spirits, and you chose this lesson, and this person is designed to reveal something to you. This is why I say there has to be a synthesis, right, of the spirit and the clinical. I think they're both valuable, right? So when we're looking at, and this is what I'm saying, like, you won't find in psychological reading, right? Nowhere, anywhere. You won't find it anywhere where it says, you know, a karmic is going to teach you a particular lesson about you. You're not going to find that in psychological reading, in any of the literature. But on the spirit side, on the philosophical side, you will. So where's the middle ground? In what ways do worthiness wounds dictate devaluation from others, thereby prompting discard? Furthermore, how does the feeling and or experience of being discarded lead to get back entitlement? That question by itself, right? I have a worthiness wound, or I should say an unworthiness wound, right? How does me having this sense of feeling unworthy, right, dictate devaluation from others? Don't we hear it all the time? The way you treat yourself is an invitation for other people to treat you the same way. Listen, we're going to dissect this even further after we come forward. If you want to join the conversation, the number to dial, 1-800-920-1580. I'm ready to talk to you. Are you ready to talk to me? But of course, I had to let you know. Exclusive. Where y'all at? Y'all getting on the phone tonight or not? What's up? What's up? Y'all getting on the phone? In my memories, I'm always reflecting. Good stuff. Oh, God. Yep. In March, a judge ruled Fulton County DA Bonnie Willis could remain on the case if Special Prosecutor Nathan Wade was removed from the case. Isolated some Tyreek Wayne on your home for 24/7 News, the Black Information Network.
California just launched the certified wellness coach profession to help your workforce meet the increased demands for youth mental health services. Learn more at cawellnesscoach.org, supported by the California Department of Health Care Access and Information.
Be sure to follow us on Instagram at KBLA1580. The station leading the way with exclusive interviews, stimulating conversation, and intellectual discourse that empowers, enlightens, and informs.
That's funny.
To help combat climate change, LADWP is helping neighborhoods have better access to
What happened?
vehicles by awarding nearly $130
I totally
million
had to step out the live stream for a quick sec
like you, from big cities
for some important texting. Gonna have to catch up on the next. Hey, don't worry about it. Get in where you fit in.
Get rebates of up to $4,000 for a used EV
What up?
and $1,750 for a charger. Learn more at ladwp.com/EV. That's ladwp.com/EV. City of Los Angeles.
I don't know. It might be. We only got Sean on the line. Where y'all at? Yes, sir. Where y'all at? We only got Sean on the line. Where is the family? We got 3 more minutes of this break. Where is the family? Can you put Arabic song? Sean is always gonna hold it down. Don't ever get it twisted. Attila on the line. Dallas, Texas. Peace, family. Big ups. Attila. Uh-oh. It looks like 30 seconds. Prevnar. This.
Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Karmic relationships and twin flame connection are both incredibly intense. Much like twin flames, karmic partners can sweep into our lives and cause us to feel intense levels of attraction to them that can even cause us to wonder from time to time, is this person some kind of soul connection, potentially a soulmate, or even my twin flame? It's ironic that twin flame connection and karmic relationships are some of the most commonly confused forms of soul love connection, because actually, at the root, these relationships are very different, and one way of thinking of it is they are nearly entirely opposite, where karmic relationship is about feeling attraction to another person based on unhealed wounds or patterns that are drawing us into this connection. In order to clear out, to break free of these karmic cycles or patterns, twin flame connection is almost the opposite of this. Twin flames are most drawn together, most attracted magnetically to one another when they are completely whole and healed within themselves, living and radiating their true, authentic self on their soul mission. So what is the number one way to distinguish a karmic relationship from other forms of soul or love connection, such as a twin flame relationship? I'm going to be sharing this with you in just a moment, but first, let me introduce myself to those of you who may be new here to the channel. If you are new, then welcome. Thank you for tuning in. My name is Infinity.
I gotta ask, do we draw our problems to us to be reconciled? Now, in one breath, you get Dr. Ramani basically saying this is just, a fancy, flowery, poetic way of hiding a potential narcissist. Because when we look at the descriptions of a karmic relationship, it might look like someone who is narcissistic, right? On the spirit side, everything that's said it can't be falsifiable. We can't prove it. So if we can't prove it from a scientific lens, it's not true. But if it's not true, how does Patrick Carnes get to trauma bonding? How do the clinicians get to the point where we understand, the central nervous system is also relating? How do we get to that point? Right? Oftentimes, science will repress or suppress spiritual jargon until they can get it to a point where they can make it falsifiable, which means if an idea or a theory can be falsified, it is closer to being the truth than not being the truth, right? So I guess science has to, once again, catch up with spirituality. The great Krishnamurti said many, 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 many decades ago when he was alive, he simply said, relationship functions as a mirror. And what did that mean? You do know there was a book put together by Krishnamurti, maybe his foundation put it together, but it was centered on the talks that he had with Einstein's successor, Dr. David Bohm. The name of the book was called The End of Time, or The Ending of Time. Very powerful discussion between a philosopher and a theoretical physicist. It was Dr. David Bohm who started this holographic movement when he wrote a book called Wholeness and the Implicate Order. He said there's an implicate order and an explicate order. The implicate order deals with what's inside. And he said these orders are constantly enfolding and unfolding into one another through what he called the hollow movement. Now, whenever you hear me use the term hologram, holographic, the word itself means whole writing. So I understand science is the way we understand our physical reality, and it might just be good for understanding the physical reality. But when we're talking about spiritual matters, which relationship falls into that category, even think about the term psychology. What does the word psychology mean? Psyche means mind or soul, the study of the soul. But they had to practicalize it. Well, it means the study of the mind and subsequent behaviors. But when we look at the word psychology, where does it come from? Study of the soul. Psychology in and of itself is born out of philosophy. Do you see? So we ask these questions because an eye for an eye versus karma. Should you get your get back? Everything you do, until you do right by me, everything you do, should you seek recompense when someone has hurt you? Should you seek get back? We're trying to uncover the desire to want to be paid back from being hurt. Now, that question we were breaking down. In what ways do worthiness wounds dictate devaluation from others, thereby prompting an eventual discard? Furthermore, how does the feeling and or experience of being discarded lead to get back entitlement? Do you suffer from get back entitlement? If somebody does you wrong, do you have to get them back? Is it imperative that you do so? How can one differentiate between petty get back and valid justice / retribution? Can consistent emotional neglect and worthiness wounds be the driving force behind pettiness and get back? What other factors need to be considered when addressing these issues? Were you raised right if you try to get back? Do you come from a vindictive family? If you cross us, we got to come see you? Are you from the vengeance is mine's family? Y'all talk to me. I want to know, how do you deal with it? Right? If somebody hurt your daughter, and I don't mean physically, I don't like dealing with the physical stuff. If somebody hurt your daughter, broke her heart, are you going to try to have a conversation with that guy? Vice versa? Let's get to it. 1-800-920-1580. We got callers on the line. When I come forward, I'm going directly to you guys. I want to hear your thoughts on tonight's topic.
We ask seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well trained. Don't talk to them. They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me. Don't be fooled. I know. Don't pick up. Never give out your Medicare number. They're going to get your number for a false claim. If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement. Check your statement every month. And get your statement.
Man,
You know you did not have done.
Sarah know good and well that she should not be calling me during this time. Sarah knows. I'm like, what is Sarah doing? Ridiculous. Thank you, man. You took us to $14. We appreciate it. We're at $14.99. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you for sharing. I didn't even hesitate. I just went and tried to figure it out. Yeah, let's talk about it. This space is gold. It is a good space. Can everybody hit that like button? We got 74 people in here and 47 likes. Inverted. Can everybody hit that like button? Hit that like button. Show your love, show your love, show your love, show your love. Let's talk, let's talk, let's talk. Hurt my bro. Hey, C bro Cortex, man. We appreciate it. Process equals growth. We're at $24.99. We cooking right now. I appreciate everybody who can share and has shared. And anybody who hasn't, but we thank you for doing it. Thank you, C bro. I want us to get to 100,000 downloads on iTunes, or what is it? Apple Podcasts. I want us to get to 100,000 downloads. Can we do that? Everybody go download my podcast. Let's get to 100,000. We're only 10,000 away. Let's get it.
Hi, I'm Sonia Choquette. Welcome to my channel. Today I want to address a question that a lot of you have asked me about. I addressed in an earlier video what karmic relationships were and how to tell them, because they are so complicated and they're so infuriating and they seem to be endless, and what is happening and why can't I get beyond this? But there is a way to bring closure to karmic relationships. And that is what I want to talk about today. How to bring peaceful closure to karmic relationships. Now, first, let me remind you a little bit. Karmic relationships are those relationships in your life that come with tremendous complication. And no matter what you do, it just seems like we can't get along, we can't move forward. It's sort of a damned if you do, damned if you don't. No matter what happens, this feels awful. So, they're your teachers. You've come together to bring things, to teach each other, maybe unconditional love, acceptance, to finish unfinished business, to provoke each other into spiritual growth. But at some point in that experience, you will feel, I'm over it, I'm done. You will feel it in your heart and spirit. You will be saturated. You will know that to continue is self-betrayal and futile, and that you are not going to get a better result. So you have to end this relationship. So the first thing to do is to write down, when you have a chance, quietly, all the lessons you've learned. What are the things I've learned in this relationship? Now, we can learn by default, which means this was so painful, I've learned I don't love myself and I have to love myself. I've learned I cannot change another person. I've learned don't overgive. Keep giving to someone that's a black hole in space and they'll keep taking and they're not going to change. I've learned a cheater is a cheater. An alcoholic is an alcoholic. A codependent is really someone who's going to just be doomed in a relationship until they learn to love themselves. Whatever you've learned, you have to acknowledge it. And then ask yourself, did you learn about it? Like this, I know I need to learn this, or did you learn it? In other words, I have integrated this information and I am putting it into practice. Because
This is interesting. It's very interesting to me because I believe that both the clinical and the spiritual share this stuff. What she's saying, I believe the clinical and the spiritual share it. That's why I say when we're having this conversation on why people come into your life, right? Why do people come into your life? Right? I don't think it's just for superficial means. I do believe that people irritate certain aspects of your spirit, and depending on how you deal with it, your conflict management skills or how they deal with it, that determines. Rebecca says, I'm listening. Yes, that determines whether you're going to blame shift, whether you're going to claim what is yours to deal with internally. Like so many people, if the relationship doesn't work, it's always somebody else's fault. Victimhood, self-victimization. These are all lessons to be learned. And I am just flummoxed to see that we're at this nexus and we still don't understand, like the nexus of spirituality, which is saying, karmic relationships come in and teach us things, whereas someone like Dr. Ramani is saying, no, that's just a shill to hide behind narcissistic tendencies. Let's get to it. We got callers on the line. I want to talk to everybody. Sean, Oakland, California. Get in here.
Hey, brother. Wow. This is powerful, right? So my thing is broken glass everywhere. A child is born with no state of mind, blind to the ways of mankind. And the reason why I say that is because it is, when you talk about wounds, and you talk about how we are living in this world, right? There's one thing that cannot be denied is that when you bring another human being into this world, you need to be present. You need to be available, okay? Because wounds happen when someone isn't present, isn't available, and they're always going to have what we all have to deal with life, bad things happen, right? You need to have people around you that help you deal with that. You need to have people that are available and present. And that's what I meant. Because when a kid comes into this world, they're innocent. They're completely innocent. And you need to make sure, if you're going to do this, you're going to bring a kid in this world, that you're going to be present and you're going to do the best you can, because there's no perfect, there's no, perfect guideline, there's no book you can read, there's no anything someone's going to say to do it, but you need to be there to guide them towards success. And what I mean by success is that you're always going to be an eager learner.
I love it. I love it. Sean, you started rapping in the beginning. I didn't know where we were going, but we landed the plane, brother. You brought Oakland in the building. We appreciate the call. If you want to bring your city in the building, all you got to do is call me at 1-800-920-1580. Until you make your unconscious conscious, it will direct you and you will call it fate. That is Carl Jung, right? Many clinicians, you don't become a psychologist. right? A therapist, without studying Carl Jung. That isn't to say all of his ideas from the past are still standing and unchallenged and questioned or not in need of revision. But that is a spiritual statement. That is not a psychological statement. Until you make your unconscious conscious, it will direct you and you will call it fate. What's the difference between what Carl Jung said and Krishnamurti? Right? Relationship is a mirror. Right? What's the difference between Patrick Carnes when he says trauma bonding? To me, that's relationship as a mirror. Now, I've been saying relationship as a mirror for the last 20 years when black people wasn't saying it. Now everybody's saying it. I'm not taking credit. I'm just saying everybody's saying it. And I don't think they understand what they're saying. When we come forward, I ain't even going to say who I saw because I know them. But they was like, yeah, relationship is a mirror. It's like, what does it mean? Right? The karma we're talking about here, right? It's not, oh, this person did something to me. No, this person reflected something to you that you have been doing to yourself. Uh-oh. When we come forward, we're going to get even deeper. This first hour just flew, but we got more, I promise. What? The relationship is you. Man, come on.
Officials are looking into how racist art project featuring images of LeBron James and monkeys was displayed at a school art exhibition. The project is fictional serial advertising called Monkey Premium.
Total Package Energy. You already know what it is.
Air Force airman who was shot and killed in his apartment in Florida on Friday was killed by a deputy entering the wrong home. Attorney Ben Crumpley's Black revealed Wednesday that a woman said she was on FaceTime with live reports. Will consider former President Trump's appeal of a decision to not remove the district attorney from his election interference case in the state. In March, a judge ruled Fulton County DA Bobby Willis would remain on the case. The special prosecutor Ethan Wade was removed.
Man, I'm so fucking sick.
Next Plus, Apoxyline, Moxidectin, and Parental chewable tablets is the one you want for your dog's monthly protection. You should caution your dogs with a history of seizures or neurological disorders. Ask your veterinarian about Next Plus Chew today.
Reason. If your relationship is in trouble, I'm the dude to call. Has your soulmate become yourself?
Yes, sir.
Black love still exists. What are your bedroom turnoffs? Fantasies and fetishes. Financial infidelity. I'm dating a fat person. Are they worth the wait? Trust me, this is gonna be crazy.
How about the heavy stuff? The child wasn't here, and you still had to pay child support.
It's a very heated topic.
How is that right?
Mama's baby, daddy's maybe.
I just have so many questions I want to ask you.
I just like to kiss you. Is there something wrong with that?
He told me he had a vasectomy. I'm pregnant.
Betrayal has been committed.
Hit you with the bad pipes routine.
How does he maintain his humposity?
He likes it when it pinches my lips.
Why can't you open up, brother?
I'm a karate man. Karate man rules on the inside. They're gonna show their weaknesses. Yeah.
How do you write women so well?
So Williams,
Reason and accountability.
the voice of reason.
Soul contracts. Karmic contracts versus soulmate contracts. Before we come into this world, every soul makes a predetermined contract, i.e. the agreement that a soul enters before physically becoming part of the Mother Earth. The foundation by which this agreement is entered upon might be different, which leads to various soul contracts. Soul contracts are always there to help you fulfill your desired purpose in life. Sometimes they can be there to teach you better lessons, or they can be there to help you overcome a situation. Some of the different types of soul contracts include the karmic contracts, the soulmate contracts, and the twin flames. But for this video, we'll be elaborating and comparing the karmic and soulmate contracts. These soul contracts may seem similar, but differ in extremity and purpose. But understanding them can help you have some clues and lessons of a particular relationship. If you're new to this channel, kindly subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon if you haven't. Here are some distinctions between karmic contracts and soulmate contracts. 1. Karmic contracts are meant to fix the hurt and trauma we've experienced during the past life. They're full of turbulence, and they're there to help you live and experience what needs to be lived and experienced. In comparison, soulmate contracts are there to be the best support in your soul's development. Your soulmate's purpose is to help you learn and grow. 2. Karmic contracts are usually prevalent in the kind of society we live in, because it's often a toxic relationship. Like karma, it's designed to make you pay for something that you did before now. It can come in different forms, such as a horrible boss, an unromantic partner, or a backstabbing friend. They're only there to give rise to intense, fascinating, yet unstable relationships. Soulmate contracts, on the other hand, exude pure and unconditional love. This contract comes after karmic agreements that have been broken. This can also come in different forms, such as platonic, familial, and romantic relationships. 3. The karmic relationship brings about necessary evil in the form of a relationship. This evil differs in each person, but no matter how the evil presents itself, it's the representation of karma that's not resolved from a previous lifetime. And it's there to make sure that everything is put back in place before you can move on. But on the other hand, soulmate contracts are usually life-changing. They're not there to serve you any punishment. Instead, they'll bring you the peace you deserve. It happens comfortably. Soulmate contracts relationships are usually the best because they're always mutually unqualified love and respect. The main essence of this contract is to teach self-love. 4. Karmic relationships are not meant to stay forever, but
Come on back. Listen. They said that was a lot, Zoe, but look how it ties in to everything else. Remember, Mirror of Relationship is the name of the book by J. Krishnamurti, right? The book is called, go to Amazon right now. It's called The Mirror of Relationship, Love, Sex, and Chastity. That's the name of the book. The Mirror of Relationship, Love, Sex, and Chastity by J. Krishnamurti. This book features excerpts of the title's themes from Krishnamurti's talks and discussions held between 1933 and 1967. This wasn't this hasn't been a relationship as a mirror hasn't been something that's really popular for a long time. But this man has been talking about this all dating back to as far as 1933. Like, we're quote shoppers, and we don't like to cite our sources. I've always cited my source when saying, when speaking of relationship as a mirror. I always say it comes from Krishnamurti. Now, in my books, I've taken it and added the holographic principle. So now I say relationships are a holographic mirror, meaning it is a mirror that reflects your entire story. So it's a holographic reflection of everything you've been through. Well, When listening to that video, and it explained karmic relationships, right? Are you guys listening? It explained karmics. And basically, the karmics were the toxic relationships. Well, what's the difference between that definition and trauma bonding? Trauma bonds can be hard to spot and break free from. It can develop from a cycle of abuse followed by positive reinforcement. The abuser may act loving afterwards, making it difficult to process feelings. Some signs of trauma include unpredictability. You feel like you're constantly walking on eggshells. Negative self-appraisal. You may rationalize or defend the abuser's action. Loyalty. You may feel a sense of loyalty to the abuser. Isolation. You may isolate yourself from others. Breaking a trauma bond and recovering can be a long journey. Trusted people such as family members, friends, other survivors, counselors, support services, and therapists can help. Now listen, that was a karmic. That was, and it goes even deeper. This is why I don't want you to get caught up on the words, right? I'm giving you the words, and then I'm going to show you how these same definitions can go to different terms, right? So here we go. Trauma bonding, also known as traumatic bonding or traumatic coercive bonding, is a strong connection that can develop between an abused person and their abuser. It is characterized by an unhealthy attachment to the abuser, which can be based on physical, emotional, or sexual abuse. Trauma bonding can occur in any type of relationship that involves a power imbalance, including romantic or non-romantic. Why aren't you saying what this sounds like? This sounds like fearful, avoidant attachment, because this describes the exact conditions that will create a fearful, avoidant attachment style. Right? The child raised in this power imbalanced environment loves, yet fears and are terrified of their primary caregiver. Are attachment styles a type of trauma bonding? Do you see how all of this flows together? And if in fact what you've been through is your relational calling card, is that not karmic? Are these not karmic relationships being called in for reconciliation? Are y'all listening to how I'm laying this down? What did Krishnamurti say about it? He said, relationship is the mirror in which we see ourselves. All life is a movement in relationship. There is no living thing on earth that is not related to something or other. Even the hermit that abandons the world and goes into some lonely spot is related to the past, is related to those who are around him. So are you seeing how I'm bouncing from clinical to psychological to spiritual? And these definitions are basically one in the same, right? They're basically the same. Okay? You're attracting what you are, what you've always been. And when we start to pull the layers back, if your mother's a covert narcissist, you might not become one. If your father is or was a grandiose narcissist, you might not become one. But chances are you could pick up some of the traits. There's a very good chance that you could pick up some of the traits, right? If you were raised by somebody that was an SLD, self-love deficient, or codependent, right? Chances are you're going to take that. You can't say in one breath, we are modeling our environment, And then when somebody comes with a more mystical explanation of it, go, nah, that's not true. Nah, no, right? So you're attracting the conflict. You are attracting the karmic. You are attracting the mess into your life for mess management. I know you don't want to hear it put that way, but that's why they're in your life. Do you understand? You have to learn mess management. And guess what? It's not their mess that you're learning to manage. It's your mess that you're learning to manage. You heard me say it all week. It's not the issue that is your issue. It's how you deal with the issue that is your issue. Relationship is a mirror in which I see myself as I am. But as most of us do not like what we are, we begin to discipline, either positively or negative, what we perceive in the mirror. In other words, how we see ourselves. That's Krishnamurti. But Carl Jung said it, human beings will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid looking at themselves. Same principle, right? Right? So we go from the clinician to the philosopher. Now, all of this is rooted in blame because the ego can never claim responsibility for anything, right? So this is where get back comes from. I deserve better. I should have been treated better. You should have showed up differently. Do you see what I'm saying? The super ego, this is Freud, the super ego is rooted in what? Morals, self-righteousness, self-aggrandizement. Do you see? I can't believe you treated me like this. There is no way. Do you know who I am? Huh? If you recognize the illusion, then you can, by putting it aside, give your attention to the understanding of relationship. But if you seek security in relationship, it becomes an investment in comfort, in illusion. And the greatness of relationship is its very insecurity. By seeking security in a relationship, you are hindering its function, which brings its own particular actions and misfortunes. That's Krishnamurti. All of us have been conditioned to look for certainty, right? Predictability. You know why? Because we're born scared. Just like a Christian is born in sin, a relationship is born out of fear. I don't want to feel what I modeled as a child anymore. Are y'all listening to what's happening? I know I'm going to get to the phone lines. But did y'all hear that? Are you listening to what's happening? Let's go back. If you recognize the illusion, then you can, by putting it aside, give your attention to the understanding of relationship. But if you seek security in relationships, is that not, hey, I'm better than Cheesecake Factory? He got to make more than $150,000. That's security. He got to take care of this, that, and the third. Or she got to pay half. She got to go 50-50 with. Hey, loyalty means everything to me. I trust in loyalty. Remember I said these two concepts are rooted in fear? They're rooted in predictability. I need to be able to count on you. I need to know that I can trust. That's because you're fearful. And I would even say rightfully so. We live in a toxic world. You live with human beings. Human beings are inherently flawed. I dare you to put your guard down. And I'm not trying to punk you. I want you to put your guard. I want you to be hurt. Because there's value in being hurt. But you haven't been taught to put your guard down and to learn how to take a spiritual punch. I know y'all not ready for this. This is why get back is so important. This is why I can't believe you did this. It's so important. If you recognize the illusion, then you can, by putting it aside, give your attention to the understanding of relationship. But if you seek security in relationship, it becomes an investment in comfort, in illusion. Listen, and the greatness of relationship is its very insecurity. In 2019, I wrote a book called A Holographic Relationship, where I talk about this when I talk about the uncertainty principle, Heisenberg's uncertainty principle, which is a part of the fabric of our reality. And what did I say? Relationship uncertainty, it's part and parcel needed for a relationship. It can't be predictable. It can't be the same thing every day. But we've been taught to seek safety. We are spiritual babies, infants at the lowest level of spiritual development. We want to be safe. Everything is rooted in safety. Remember yesterday I said that's where psychology is. You have to be safe. You have to create a safe space. At some point, you're going to have to develop the spiritual courage in order to show up as yourself. Oh, goodness. Here we go. I'm sorry. Let's get the callers in here. I'm sorry. Oh, we lost Reggie? Oh, when I come forward, I'm going back to the phone lines. I got to talk to Reggie. Reggie, call me back, man.
The reasons that we're here, the reasons that we fear, our feelings will disappear. You're listening to the voice of reason with Zoe Williams on KBLA Talk 15.
But is any of this... I always got to ask, is any of this making sense? Do you understand what I'm talking about? Do you see where blame, shame, I gotta get back? Are y'all seeing any of that? Man, I ain't even gonna lie to you, man. I spend the majority of my fucking day in silence. You know, with the exception of the random phone call here or there, I spend the majority of my day silent. The most talking I do is on the air, right? And these are some of the thoughts that are running through my mind, and I'm like, man, I better have gotten I hope I got a good grade on that. Anyway, these are the majority of the thoughts that have been on my mind. Do you guys know does anybody know Sarah's Cash App? Has anybody ever Cash Apped Sarah? I say that because Sarah got beat up yesterday. And Sarah is in the hospital. I meant to say this earlier. Sarah is a caregiver. And there's a guy that she takes care of. She takes care of him. He's an epileptic, something. He needs 24-hour care. And Sarah is one of his caregivers. And he beat her up yesterday. He broke her wrist. So she called me yesterday during the show. And little did I know, that's when she was in a fight with him. So she was trying to FaceTime me so I could see. So she wound up FaceTiming another one of our friends. I'll get back to it. Can y'all support Sarah? Please. She quit the show. She's going back to Texas.
From down south, used to like me to spank it, but it's not. It was a diamond, that's what I like about from dark to the morning. Pulled this girl up and told her we was born. Puerto Rican Bobby used to be a deacon, now he be for the weekend. And this black dude I call King Kong, he had a big face and a hurricane everybody that ever done me wrong. And I'm not wishing anything on them, but you can't do people bad. Right. So God's got it. Yeah, I don't even want it. If they was able to take it, it didn't belong to me. Now, this is mine, and nobody else can come and take it.
Play it again. That's Fantasia.
Everybody that ever done me wrong. And I'm not wishing anything on them, but you can't do people bad. Right. So God's got it. Yeah, I don't even want it. If they was able to take it, it didn't belong to me. Now, this is mine, and nobody else can come and take it.
I love Fantasia. Beautiful sister. Talented sister. And you can hear the spiritual evolution in her. I ain't got the words quite right, but the spiritual evolution in her is right there. Right? Listen to me. When you get to the right place spiritually, you won't even have to say what she said. Anybody that's ever did anything wrong to me, you ain't even got to say that. It'll be tantamount to what Morpheus says to Neo when he's in the simulation, right? He said, Neo. Neo says to him, what are you saying, Morpheus? I can dodge bullets? And he says, no, I'm saying when you're ready, you won't have to. Like, you ain't even gonna need, you won't have to. Like, we have to get to that point of spirituality. I'm telling you right now, most of us are preoccupied on, it's almost like a little sadistic, I want to see them get theirs. Or I want to put out little seeds to show them that I'm doing better. Right? You remember yesterday I said social media is part of your youngin' mask. Sometimes on social media, you post lies. You post that you're doing better than you actually are. Sometimes you are doing better and you want that person who hurt you to see that you're doing better. This is the sign of a spiritual child. You still got work to do. Don't jeopardize your better footing, right? Keep progressing forward. You jeopardize your spiritual footing by trying to double back and say, see what you missed out on? See, I'm in a better place. See, do you see what I'm saying? It's childish. I'm sorry, we got callers. Let's go. Nazarene, oh, no. Attila, Houston, Texas. Get in here. What are your thoughts on tonight's topic?
Uncle Will. Well, while I was wandering in the wilderness for 40 years, explain a little bit. I started thinking about the concept of the twin flames and soulmates and all that stuff, which I actually do subscribe to. But I think part of the reason why we have this obsession with trying to figure out if someone is a karmic, a twin flame, all this goofy stuff, is because of two things. I think we're trying to figure out permanence versus purpose.
Ooh.
And we're not really enjoying the person, the experience, the lesson, none of that. I think we're more concerned about trying to figure out if the person is an op or not versus actually having the experience. So to go into a little bit about what I mean by permanence or purpose, you're trying to figure out if this person is temporary for the long haul, whatever the case, or versus focusing on what is this person's purpose in my life, and how is it going to unfold. And either one of those, I think, if you dive too deeply into them, can actually drive you a little nuts. And in addition to missing that person, you'll miss the lesson.
Let me listen. Purpose, permanence, and op. Right? So are we hip to the concept in physics known as superposition? Right? Superposition means every possible outcome, right, is all happening at the same time, right? Superposition, the action of placing one thing on or above another, especially so that they collide, right? Whenever a particle, when we're talking about superposition as a particle, that means the particle is everywhere. It's everywhere. They call it a probability wave when you're looking at the measurement principle, right? Or the measurement problem. They see it as a probability wave. That means every person you've ever dated, because physics represents the physical world where we live, even our relationship. Every person you ever dated has the propensity to be an op. They have a propensity to be a part of your purpose. And they have a propensity to be what else?
Your destiny, I guess.
And they have the propensity to be permanent.
Yes.
Stay with me. When we come forward, I'm going back to Houston, Texas. Let's go. Yo. Y'all got me in my bag tonight. I don't know. I've been in my bag last couple of days. I've been in my bag last couple of days, if I'm not mistaken. We've been talking about like some real shit. You are the only inescapable constant. That reality ties back into the law that all is mine. Listen, when you get on the air, that's what you got to talk about. Hey, man, I love Andy. Andy in here eating. He got a bib on. Andy done put a napkin on. Hey, I see the white tee. Andy in here like, yes, sir. Mafia style. That's funny. That's funny. Greg Scott. Hey, man, Cookzo. Thank you. Thank you. Listen, I haven't been able to shout out the people that have been hitting me on Cash App. I haven't even really been pushing the Cash App today. I would like for you guys to support me. We'd like to get to $100. It's 69 people in here. If everybody dropped $3, we could get well past $100. If you want to support, please support. But I also want you guys to, if you can, throw a little something towards Sarah, because she told me that today, and that was crazy. She called me again tonight. I don't know what's going on, so I'm gonna have to call her when I get off the air. But yo. So she told me, she was like, man, LA kicked my ass. I'm going home. Fuck it. So I got to talk to her because I don't want her to quit. She's executive producer on my TV show. We gave her Uh, we gave her writing credit on the show. We gave her a producer credit. And I fought for her because a lot of the guys that were asking a lot of her still didn't respect her enough to kind of give her, the proper crediting. But I said, yo, I'm gonna make sure you're credited properly. So when they asked me, Zoe, what are your credits? And I put Sarah in as a co-executive producer on the Situation Shift. Because I was like, technically, she was the showrunner. She wrote out the show concept. That's what a showrunner does. She wrote out, the show concept. Um, she was she was the warm up for all of the shows. So she did the comedy to keep the crowd hype. She just did so much. She booked talent. I mean, she wore a gang of hats. And she was like everybody else, fighting fighting to stay here in LA, fighting to scratch and get somewhere. And she had been having some success. I think she had recently gotten a job with I think Big Boy. And I think I'm kind of putting shit out. I probably shouldn't, but she been working. But no, you can't put pause on him because he's mentally disabled. That's why he needs shit. I could have did that, but she didn't even beat his ass. She could have beat his ass. He's mentally disabled. Like, yeah. The motherfucker, Sarah is calling me during the show yesterday. She can't call me, so she calls Phil. Phil picks up the FaceTime, and the nigga is on top of her in the FaceTime. But when he noticed that the FaceTime was on, he saw her FaceTime was on. He was like, oh, she's attacking me. He let her go and jumped back. Oh, she's attacking me. Like, if I go over there and put hands on this guy, he could die. You see what I'm saying? So, oh, absolutely, he was cognizant.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Stay Housed LA has the resources you need to know your rights. And
so if you guys don't mind, please support Sarah. And like I said, everybody don't have to do nothing extraordinary, extravagant. Just send her a couple of dollars. You know what I'm saying? Like, send her a few dollars. That's all. $3, $2. If everybody did it as a collective, 71 times 3. That's just a little token or something. But she told me she was leaving, so.
Find out more about your rights by participating in a virtual tenant workshop. Get the legal assistance you need. Find additional resources in Los Angeles.
30 seconds.
Stay connected to Stay Housed LA County for updates. This and more at stayhousedla.org. Stay connected to Stay Housed LA for updates. This and more at stayhousedla.org. That's stayhousedla.org. Or call their hotline at 213-694-0040.
Man, it's a crazy world. And God keeps asking you to wake up every morning and be thankful. It's a crazy world.
So sometimes we feel like we need to get the last word in. Are you one of those people? I'm going to give you a gift. Get the last word in. Go for it. Just make certain the last word is of love.
Is of love. That's a gift. Attila from Houston, Texas, get back in here. We were talking about superposition, right?
Yes.
And you named those three things, and I think sometimes we might be focused on one of them. Are you a part of my purpose? Are you a part of, are you going to be permanent? Listen, every lesson learned is permanent, right?
That's right.
Every lesson you learn takes us closer to our purpose, right? And I think
Absolutely.
that, go ahead. I'm listening.
No, I was just going to say, I do think in terms of understanding the person that's sitting across from you or whatever, or the person that you're communicating with, knowing the types of questions that they're asking and understanding if it's coming from one of those three sources is also very important, because I think it kind of helps you curtail problems in the future if you can kind of remedy that, or at least give them some sort of reassurance. And so I think, again, if someone is too focused on one of those three things, you do run the risk of becoming a hamster on the wheel by trying to appease something that may be unappeasable. But the lesson, like you said, is still learned.
I love it. I love it. I love, you know, Attila, girl, you pretty talented. You know that. We got to give, hey, man, where the drum rolls at, man? We got to give her flowers, some hands. Come on. What?
Oh, God. Lord.
Praise break for Attila. Come on, we appreciate you. She be dropping topics, man. I love it. The praise break was real. Attila, guess what you just did? Houston, Texas is in the building. If you want to bring your city in the building, you know the routine. Just call us, 1-800-920-1580. The voice of reason is on complete fire right now. Let me get my young brother, my nephew up in here. Nazarene X from Atlanta, Georgia. Come on, it's been a while, but he's back in the building. What up, Nazarene?
What up, man? Love, man. Love.
Yeah, man. What do you think of tonight's topic?
As usual, you right on cue with what the good Lord is trying to do out here all across the galaxy.
What the good Lord is trying to do out here all across the galaxy. Come on.
The voice of reason. But look, love, so the notion of self being the only constant, period, is something that just kind of came to mind. And I believe that speaks to unity, to where you even say something often, and I don't want it to go over people's head, but, you know, there are different degrees that separate hot and cold and so forth, but in terms of what we identify as God in that sense, I personally still liken that to being love itself as well. But you draw our minds to consider, where does God so-called begin and you end, or where do you begin and God ends? It's like when we really rest within that, I feel like it opens us up to a level of consideration of what we are processing, that can be healing within itself, to the degree where if we find ourselves so-called, first of all, you know, it's the notion of vengeance is mine, thus saith the Lord, right? When we are operating in that type of self, we don't need to drop a tear in order to, I wish I knew the words, but we don't need to take our focus off of the bigger picture. Because when we turn to someone like we gotta pay them back, or we turn to someone else, or like, I gotta show such and such that I'm doing better, we've taken our eye off of the greater cause of greater calling upon our own life. And I also read that it's like if you experience or witness someone down bad, or hurting, one of the worst things that you could do is take pride in that.
Keep going. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Keep going.
one thing is like, you're not, when you are right within that peace within, you still in your heart of hearts. I mean, I understand certain human nature type of nuances and all of that, but it's like, I don't want anyone to be bad, to be hurting. I want everyone to have a lesson, including myself, where it applies and where it can serve to their benefit. But it's not in my nature to wish ill just upon someone, period. So when you turn, it said like someone might have done you wrong and all of that. For one, if you can laugh at them stumbling, that's showing that you're still locked into the wrong kind of focus anyway. And God is going to take that like, oh, well, I guess my work is done. Because if God is actually moving upon this person's life and is so-called punishing them or paying them back for such and such, like that's karma at work, you taking joy and laughing is a signal to God that he don't need to do nothing more. And in that sense, you could be interrupting something that, again, not just take joy in it being like some kind of negative situation, but you could be interrupting the process of someone else's growth that's necessary, just the same as you would need that too. So it's like that whole thing of the all is mine type of piece. It's what you are aware of and what you're focusing, just like you have echoed this entire week as well, is not the issue that's your issue, is how you're handling it.
Right.
So if I am focused on reflecting, of like even earlier this week, I came to these words of like, I am open to discernment. I am open to restoration. I am open to instruction. I am open to patience, and I am open to surrender.
Let's keep going. Wait, let's keep going. I'm open to freedom.
Amen.
Stay with me, man. When we come forward, I'm going back to Atlanta. My nephew done earned some more minutes on this show because he cooking. When we come forward, so much more to talk about. It's getting deep. Ooh. Come on, Nazarene. Nephew. Man, I'm gonna go straight home after today's show. I mean, shit, man, that was the first thing Sarah told me, man. Sarah, my whole spirit was like, what this nigga do? She was like, yo, I was like, what? She was like, yo, he can't do nothing. I said, you can't do nothing? So I can't come over. No. The dude is like, he's in like some kind of home where he's got 24-hour care. Like, you bomb on somebody like that and they suffer from epilepsy and, all this other shit, like, they could be done. Like, you cannot, you know what I mean? Like, that's murder. But he beat her up. And I'm like fucked up because she even had to restrain herself. You know what I'm saying? From like really fucking him up, because she even told me, she was like, She was like, I could have threw his ass across the room or some shit. She was like, but if I'd have did that and he would have tripped and fell and hit his head, boom. So, yeah. Like, man, like,
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even gonna know about it if you don't look at your statement. Check your statement every month. And get your statement, and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your senior Medicare patrol. To report Medicare fraud, call the senior Medicare patrol at 855-613-78.
unalived.
Kids play with pretend guns. In the real world, it's up to us to make sure they don't get their hands on a real gun. If you have a gun in the house, keep it locked, unloaded, and stored separately from ammunition. Safe gun storage saves lives. Learn how to make your home safer at endfamilyfire.org. That's endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by End Family Fire, Brady, and the Ad Council.
You want some more? More is the voice of reason with Phil Williams on KBLA Talk 1580.
Wait. She got another slapper. What is it? What's next? Out of my playlist, you know, I'm not saying that wasn't a slapper. Ooh, did we? Okay, so we played this. What else? That's an amazing. Ooh, hey. Man, Andy is the best. Yeah.
My name is Vanessa Van Edwards, and I'm lead investigator at the Science of People, a human behavior research lab. Our mission is to figure out the hidden forces that drive our behavior. And today we're talking about the dark, secretive, mysterious science and psychology of revenge. As much as we hate to admit it, revenge is one of those intense feelings that comes up for every single human being. Have you ever been wronged and wish you could punish the perpetrator? This desire is wired within us. A group of Swiss researchers wanted to know what happens in the brain when someone reaps revenge. They scanned the brains of people who had just been wronged during a game in the lab. The researchers then gave the wronged participant a chance to punish the other person. And for a full minute, as the victims contemplated revenge, their activity was recorded in their brain. Researchers noticed a rush of neural activity in the caudate nucleus. This is the part of the brain known to process rewards. In other words, the study found that revenge, in the moment, is quite rewarding.
Wow. Rewarding, huh? Hey! Let me get my brother Nazarene X in here to get his final thought on tonight's topic. Nazarene.
Sir, yes, man, we bring it back to that twin flame thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
One view I got from our sister Veronica Conway, and it's that whole thing about the nemesis. That's actually tied into the twin flame conversation too.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe as well, when we consider the adversary in our lives, we always hear that whole thing, we can be our own worst enemy for real.
Mm-hmm.
when we allow anything to call us away from our own progression, we're being distracted. And it's on you to determine what is progressive for yourself. Where you're turning your energy and where you're pouring that into is basically going to be the next seed for karma to spin the block on you. So just remain mindful of that at all times. Try not to let anyone else's actions, reactions, or whatever take you off of course of what you're here to do with your life while you have the precious time that you got.
I love it,
If
brother.
in stride need to be slapped, you know what I mean? Jesus wept.
Jesus wept. I love it, brother. We appreciate the call. Thank you, man. Jesus wept. Let me ask a question. Let me just ask real quick. Is there a karmic equivalent in the Bible? Because science has, for every action, there's an equal yet opposite reaction. Right?
Well, the word, not remission of sins, what is it? That's a great question. Let me let that marinate. That is an excellent question.
Well, you think about it. I know somebody gonna tell me. But I appreciate you for calling, young man.
Thank you, I appreciate you.
Yes, sir. Let me just say this, man. Everything about relationship should be looked through the lens of relationship being the university of you, right? This is why we bring all of these different types of questions, different philosophers, different clinicians. We bring all these people on because we want you to expand your perspective as it pertains to relating. Many times, just as Krishnamurti outlined, we seek security. But just remember this. Whatever you're seeking, you're also seeking its opposite. For every action, there is yet an equal but opposite reaction. So if you're in constant pursuit of security, you are also in pursuit of insecurity. And Krishnamurti says it this way. When insecurity creeps into dependency, as it inevitably does, then that particular relationship is cast aside and a new one is taken on in hope of finding lasting security. But there is no security in relationship, and dependency only breeds fear. Without understanding the process of security and fear, relationship becomes a binding hindrance, a way of ignorance. The man writes so clearly. Listen, when insecurity creeps into dependency, as it inevitably does, then that particular relationship is cast aside and a new one is taken on in hopes of finding lasting security. But there is no security in relationships. And dependency only breeds fear. Without understanding the process of security and fear, relationship becomes a binding hindrance, a way of ignorance. Then all existence is struggle and pain. And there is no way out of it save in right thinking, which comes through self-knowledge. How am I showing up? Who am I in relationship? Not what you can do for me, but what I can do for myself in terms of the healing process, which is an ongoing, lifelong process. Many of us don't get into relationships to conquer self. We get into relationships to finally get comfortable. All this week I was saying, in 10 years or so, the clinicians are going to find something. They're going to get to a point where they recognize this whole safe space stuff. I'm not saying it's bad. But they're going to start teaching something that is going to engender courage, spiritual courage, internal resilience, something that will allow you to see yourself without fear and judgment. Do you understand? As long as the mind uses relationship for its own security, that relationship is bound to create confusion and antagonism. It is impossible to live in relationship without the idea of demand, want, and of gratification. Jeez. And if you don't get it, you got somebody to blame and you got somebody to seek revenge for. All right, we started the conversation. It's up to you to finish it. I'm Zoe Williams, the voice of reason. Hey, I'll see you next week with another set of bangers. Yo, this was crazy. Crazy show. Good show. Fire show. Y'all enjoy this week? I enjoyed this week. Thank you for supporting. Appreciate y'all. Once again, Andy. Once again, it's on. You under dig? See you next week, bro. Fire show. I'm excited. Man. I'm off on my own. I'll holler back. I'm gonna go tap in with Sarah real quick. Deuces.